let's go to the agenda, which will be here. No, not there. Wednesday class. Why do I keep clicking the wrong thing? Okay, I think maybe it's over here. Yeah, period 4. I don't know why I did that. Daily agenda. Okay, so again, you can always check if you're going to be absent or anything. And it's not sharing my, I didn't share it right. Okay, let's try it again. Here's our agenda. Thank you very much. All right. So there's the song if you want to watch it on your own. By the way, I wanted to give you a couple of hints here, especially for those of you who like to have your notes ahead of time. I've put outline notes in for each section already in the content library of your class notebook. So if you go to your class notebook, hopefully it will load properly. Although I just got a message about my internet being poor. Okay, so in the class notebook, you should be able to find where it says notes. And there's one for each section already. Of course, it'll take us 2 to 2.5 weeks to get through this section. So don't hold your breath. And now it's not loading for me at all. Great. Okay. Reload. All right. So we're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines today. There's only 2 theorems we're going to learn. We will get to that. So make sure you have your journal and also some colors, like I'd mentioned. I also want you to have a blank piece of paper and a ruler, or it could be like graph paper or something. Just so you notice, also there is big ideas. Chapter 3 is up in the Quizlet. So you should be just looking through those, maybe 1 to 3 minutes a day. It will help solidify those vocabulary words. There's lots of vocabulary again in this chapter. So definitely take advantage of that Quizlet, 2 to 3 minutes a day. Now, whoops, sorry. I asked you to do those 7 vocabulary words on page 67. Parallel lines, skew lines, parallel planes, transversal, corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, and consecutive interior angles. And I made a little 7-minute video for you. If you didn't get it done, please watch this video and get it done today. I'm not going to check that you do that because at this point you're on your honor system and I asked you to do it. And so if you didn't do it yesterday, do it today. There it is. There's a video to help you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to change to the camera and I want you to draw what you see in a perfect world under the camera here. So let's see, here we go to the camera. Should be screen 1. There we go. So I want you to draw as best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you're going to draw a line between 2 parallel lines. Make it nice. Have your colors out. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I want you to have this drawing in front of you. It will solidify things for you. For 10:45, so I have 20 minutes. We have 20 minutes. This small letter is P. This small letter is Q. This big one is T. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these two little red triangles, they can go on either side. That does not matter as long as there are two little red triangles. So as you're drawing these, I love that you're using straight edges instead of just freehand. We want to make them look as nice as possible. So these two little signs, the two little red triangles, means parallel. If you see those in a diagram, that'll be part of your givens. Okay, so it's very important to know what those are. The one line that crosses two parallel lines, or really any two lines, it doesn't even have to be parallel, but that line is called a transversal. Transversal. So that was part of the vocabulary. And whenever I talk about a transversal, it is crossing at least two lines. So we have line P parallel to line Q. And the way we write that, I'll come over here, is we put P and Q like that, and then you do these two slashes. So that symbol means P is parallel to Q. Again, you'll be given those in some of your proofs and things, so you'll want to know what that little symbol means. Either the red triangles or that symbol. I don't want to rush you, but have I given you enough time to draw it carefully? Okay. If I go too fast, pop your hand up and let me know. Otherwise, we're going to talk about these angles right here that are formed by the transversal. So I'm going to start with corresponding angles. So underneath here somewhere, maybe put 4 different spots. And we're going to talk about corresponding angles. The word corresponding basically means in the same place. So when it means to the same place, I've got my transversal. I'm either both on the right side or both on the left side. And 2 and 6 are corresponding because they're both above the parallel lines. So 2 and 6 are to the are to the right of the transversal and also above the parallel lines. Another set of corresponding angles would be, say, on the other side. 1 is corresponding to 5 because they're both to the left of the transversal and above the parallel lines. So we can follow this logic and say that. This is where your colors are coming in, right? So if you could do these as best as possible. 4 and 8 correspond because they're both below the parallels, but on the left of the transversal. And then the last 2, 3 corresponds to 7 because, again, below the parallel, but to the left of the transversal. So instead of saying all those positions, we could just say these are corresponding. That's our first set. So I've done this on whiteboard so I can erase. So the next one Again, try to figure this out with how you can color code it the best. I've used that one. So the next one I'm going to do is called alternate interior angles. Now, alternate interior angles, again, means something specific. Alternate means opposite sides of the transversal. So one's on the right, one's on the left, and one's on the right. Alternate means opposite sides of the transversal. Interior means, think of these two lines here, these two parallel lines, as like chopsticks. And you could move them, and in between the two chopsticks, or the two pencils, or whatever you want to pretend they are, is interior. It's inside. So alternate interior means opposite sides of the transversal, but inside these two parallel lines. So 4 and 5 are alternate interior angles. Also alternate interior angles would be 3 and 6. So of course I'm doing those with color so you see how they sort of match. And that's how I was saying if you had colored pencils or crayons or something like that, pen does tend to bleed through. But these are alternate, opposite sides of transversal, and interior between the two parallel lines. Any questions? Okay. Next one. Should just go ahead like this. We also have exterior angles. Okay, so alternate again means opposite sides of the transversal, but exterior means outside of those two lines, so above or below the two lines. Alternate exterior. So 1 and 8 are alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. And of course, you should be able to label the other two, which is 2 and 7. They're both outside of the pencils. They're on opposite side of the, oh. Okay. Again, questions? Those 3 sets are fairly obvious. Most students are just fine with those. This last one, for some reason, seems to be a little more confusing to students. And I think it's because you have so much vocabulary already, and it's one more piece of vocabulary. Not that it's difficult to remember, just that it's so much, okay? So now this last one is called consecutive interior angles. So we already know what interior means. It means between these two parallel lines. But consecutive means one right after each other. There's nothing in between them. So 4 and 6 are consecutive because they're right there next to each other. It doesn't say alternate, so they're on the same side. And these two together are going to give us actually supplementary angles, but that's how we refer to them. They're consecutive if they're right next to each other. You can probably already see that the other 2 consecutive interiors are 3 and 5. And we don't have any consecutive exteriors, so that's why those are the only 4 we go over. I'm looking for questions. Okay, so those 4 vocabulary words. Let's just review quickly. There's your transversal, your parallel lines, your symbols, and your angles. Now this picture, keep it with you every time you do an assignment in this whole chapter, and it will help you, especially with the color coding. Your homework assignment was to do these. Again, if you didn't do it yet, then you need to watch the video today, 7 minutes, fill it in, or go to the Big Ideas website and choose resources. The online glossary is on there. You can fill those out. Now, what we just did is we talked about, and this, of course, is in the book pages I asked you to read. And then in the journal, page 69, are also these pictures. Okay, so if you somehow don't feel like that was good enough, you could use the same like this, color code, corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, and consecutive. That's page 69 in your student journal. And then the last thing we have is 2 postulates. And these postulates are really important. Remember, they're to be accepted without proof. Let me zoom in a little. One's called the parallel postulate, and the other one is called the perpendicular postulate. And basically what it says is this. If you have a line and a point not on the line, that's what you're given, a line and a point, then there's exactly one other line that you can draw through that line that is parallel, that's exactly parallel. Not even if it's sideways. Doesn't sideways 1 degree, because that would mean it'll eventually meet. But if you have a line and a point, P, there is exactly one line through P parallel to L. That's it. The perpendicular postulate says almost exactly the same thing. If you get a line and a point not on the line, so say here, then there's only one line that will exactly go through P perpendicular to L. And if you just stop and think about it a second, it's kind of obvious. Yeah, there's one line and exactly one line. You can't, because a point is infinitesimally small and there's only one that goes through it. So these are your postulates that we're going to use throughout the chapter. You should now know all the vocabulary. And so what you're going to do for your assignment, because today is a little bit short, is you are going to please do the extra practice 3.1, page 70 in your workbook. You'll see it's just 12 questions, and basically all you're doing is identifying. So you're just looking at the picture and figuring out what's what. Please draw carefully, and that's that. So does anybody have any specific questions right now about the assignment or 3.1? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now so it doesn't get too long. And we have 5 minutes left. Okay, so stop.